Lavandula from the website naturalivingalchemy.ca. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a tincture formulation to help support your nervous system. This formulation is going to be helpful in regulating a dysregulated nervous system. So, how do you know if you have a dysregulated nervous system? I'm just going to give you a few hints, a few things you might be experiencing that might be pointing to a dysregulated nervous system. One, you have a heightened feeling of anxiety or just feeling on edge more often than not. You maybe are experiencing panic attacks. Maybe you're having some digestive issues or sleep disturbances or some fatigue, regardless of how much sleep you're getting. Maybe you're feeling emotionally dysregulated and you're finding yourself being snappy, irritable, or just reactive. Maybe you're experiencing some headaches or some other chronic pain or just an illness that just won't really go away. Or if you're having, and here's the one where I know, sensory overload, and you are finding yourself being highly sensitive to just any type of sensory stimulus. Now, if you find yourself neurodivergent, like myself, I am on the autism spectrum. I already have a dysregulated nervous system. If you're neurodivergent, chances are you have a dysregulated nervous system already. And something like this will probably be able to help you out. So, how are some ways that our nervous system can get dysregulated? All right. So we know what it would feel like if we're dysregulated. How? How does this happen? Well, the number one reason, chronic stress. Okay. Stress will cause your nervous system to become dysregulated, as will trauma. And this includes physical or emotional or mental. Okay. You could have a dysregulated nervous system because of adverse childhood experiences or genetics. Lifestyle factors play a huge role. You could have a dysregulated nervous system simply because you're deficient in magnesium or vitamin B. There could be underlying health conditions like autoimmune or even hormonal imbalances. And lastly, another way that your nervous system can get dysregulated is through environmental factors and just exposures to toxins like various heavy metals or molds. Now, I want to share a couple tips with you on how you can help get your nervous system back in a state of regulation. And these are some ones that I like to use that have definitely helped me. All right. And why don't you comment down below in the comment box and let me know what are some things that you like to do to regulate your nervous system that I haven't mentioned here. Okay. Let's give each other ideas. Let's just help support each other and help each other just be in a calm, regulated state. Okay. So the first one that I like to do is it's called the physiological sigh. Super easy. You've probably seen animals in the wild or in your home do this. My dogs do it all the time. So you're just going to inhale, and on the exhale, you're going to let out like a long, loud sigh. Okay, do it with me. So inhale. Okay, I'm going to shake at the end because movement helps. Just kind of like shake the dysregulation out. Okay, that's one thing you can do. There's also some breathing exercises that I like to use. So I'm going to share two with you now. Okay. The first one's called box breathing. And if you already know how to do this, then that's okay. Just breathe with me anyway. So we're going to use a count of 4, but you can really use any number you want. So we're going to inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Okay. So inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Okay. I like to just kind of chase the air in front of, like chase my finger in the air in front of me. You don't have to do that, but I just like to. Okay. That's it. You just want to hold and time your breath so that your inhale, your hold, your exhale, your hold are the same number. Now, if you are finding yourself experiencing a little bit of a panic or anxiety attack, we're going to have to do something slightly different. So this time, it's not so much of a nice square, it's a weird rectangle, where you're going to inhale for 4, you're going to hold it for 4, you're going to want to make sure your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. So we're going to go 8 on the exhale and holding in for 8. Okay, so we'll inhale 4, hold, Exhale for 8. Hold for 8. Okay. And that's it. And just keep going in that pattern. And what happens when you time your exhale breath twice as long as the inhale, you're actually helping your heart rate slow down and become more regulated just by following your breath, just by following the vital force that you're bringing in through the element of the air. Okay. So, some other things that you could do would be meditation or mindfulness practices. Okay. I really like cards, different tarot and oracle decks. That's not quite what this is, but it's still a deck of cards. It's a Polyvagal card deck. Deb Dana is the author of this particular deck. And basically, in here, these are all different exercises that are aimed at just regulating your nervous system. Okay. So let's just grab one here. Grab one and see what one wants to come out. For everybody watching this video, what is an exercise that we could do to help regulate our systems? Okay. So I will also in the description box below write down what this card exactly says with all of the instructions. But basically, so the card we got was Touchstones. So the concept, touchstones are objects or sensations that have personal meaning and that connect us to a state of ventral regulation and help us feel grounded. So basically, what it's telling us to do is we're going to find an object around our house that's going to help bring us into a ventral state. Okay. And then you're going to put them in places where you're going to be able to just see them throughout the day. Okay. Because your own objects, the things that you put in your house that just bring you so much happiness, what do you think that they're doing when they're bringing you that happiness? Okay. So then you're going to identify smells. You have one special scent or several different scents that we're going to take you into that ventral state as well. So find ways to also bring those scents into your environment. Maybe it's an incense that you like, or you have like an essential oil diffuser that you put your favorite scent in. Okay, do that. That's going to help regulate your nervous system. And then notice things that you wear that help you feel anchored. Okay, into put your favorite outfit on. All right. Maybe you have like a pair of fuzzy slippers that you like. Put those on. Maybe you feel more regulated when you are all done up. Do that. Okay. Even if you're just sitting at home, what's wrong with making yourself look nice? Right. Those are things that we can do to help our nervous system. Okay. So just a little idea there. Now, if put this one over here so I don't forget to write it down for you. Now, check out that description box below because I will have these linked if you want to grab them for yourself. In there, you're also going to find a full written blog article that accompanies this video that I'm going to go into some way more detail into some of these tips and things along those lines. Okay. Now, the last thing that you can do to help support your nervous system would be plant allies. Okay. Like the one I've chosen today. Now, before we get into those, I just want to go over my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. None of what is on this channel is considered medical advice. It is for education and entertainment purposes only. Always be sure to consult your healthcare practitioner and professionals before following any of my advice. So now let's go over what I like to call the primary actions of concern of each of our 3 plant allies I've chosen today. And basically all that means, if you're unfamiliar with that, is this is not all of the things that these plants do. They are simply the reasons as to why I chose them to go in our formula today. So the first one that I would like to talk about is mugwort or Artemisia vulgaris. So the taste of mugwort is bitter, it's pungent, and it's fragrant. And it's fragrant because it has a lot of volatile or essential oil content. So the action in the body that mugwort that we're concerned with is she works as a nervine relaxant, working to just really gently unwind states of tension in the mind and in the body. Now, this relaxing property that we're going to find in mugwort won't necessarily make you sleepy. So you are able to use this formulation periodically throughout the day. Okay. Just when you're feeling you're needing to regulate yourself. Okay. So the other action that we're concerned with is she works as a bitter tonic. And that is going to help support your digestion. Because I don't know if you experience this when your nervous system's dysregulated or you're in a state of anxiety, your digestion's probably going to be affected. Okay. So this is going to definitely help out with that. Energetically, mugwort is warming and it's relaxing. Now, it is contraindicated if you are pregnant or you're lactating. Okay. And this is because it has some emmenagogue effects, which means it can stimulate menses. And I'm also going to ask you to definitely avoid mugwort if you are allergic to anything in the Asteraceae family of plants. The ruling planet of mugwort is Venus, and the ruling element is water. Our next plant ally that is going to go in our formulation is lavender or Lavandula angustifolia. Now, the taste of lavender is bitter and aromatic. And the actions that we are concerned with is she works as a nervine relaxant, helping with states of anxiety, burnout, depression, or even mental hyperactivity. And it really helps by calming down a hyperactive sympathetic or fight or flight state and strengthens the parasympathetic or rest and digest state. She also works as a spasmolytic or antispasmodic, just helping release spasm and tension. And also, she works as a cardiovascular diffusive. And that means that lavender can help open up peripheral circulation, which is something that you might want to do if you are experiencing an anxiety induced hypertension. Okay. And she just really helps by improving the health of your veins and your capillaries. Okay. And lastly, the action is another bitter tonic. Energetically, lavender is warming when taken internally, it's relaxing, and it's drying. It is contraindicated if for pregnancy. So the ruling planet is Mercury and the ruling element is the air. Our final plant that is going to go in our tincture today is blue vervain or Verbena hosta. Now, the taste of blue vervain is bitter and it's acrid. Okay. Now, acrid, if you don't know, it's that taste in the back of your throat of bile after you've been sick. However, it's really interesting what these different tastes do and the actions in the body they perform. So the acrid flavor is actually pointing to blue vervain is a spasmolytic and it has relaxing properties that do have an effect on the nervous system. So actions would be a bitter tonic, and this particular plant is considered to be a nauseating bitter, which means that it has the potential to induce nausea and or vomiting. Okay, we're not using a lot in this formulation, but it is just something to be aware of. But okay, so what the really bitter flavors do is it kind of just helps move stuck energy within the body. So if you've ever tasted something really bitter, have you ever noticed that you kind of have a little bit of like a shiver after? So that's kind of from what I've been told and taught and learned is that is basically the vital force within your body just settling itself down within the body. Okay, just kind of moving itself down and back. Maybe you found yourself living too much in the head. Okay, we do that a lot. So adding something like this, these stronger bitter flavors is actually just going to help center your nervous system and just kind of keep you grounded in that way. Okay. And finally, she also works as a nervine sedative. And that's just going to help uplift your spirit and just treat various nervous system disorders like anxiety, nervousness, stress, irritability, depression, insomnia, and even epilepsy. Energetically, blue vervain is cooling and she's drying. And that's just because remember that bitter flavor is going to stimulate digestion. But okay, so you get all your digestive juices flowing and all the secretions going. They eventually do leave your body. That's how it has an overall drying effect. It is also contraindicated in pregnancy. The ruling planet is Venus and the ruling element is water. So those are all of our ingredients that we're going to use today. So let's just get this all put together. So what you're going to want to do is we're going to have to kind of crush these herbs up just a little. We want to just help break the cell wall down so that our alcohol can go and really extract all of those like, really, really good constituents of the plants that we want. Okay. So you have a choice here. You can use a mortar and pestle, or you can use something like an herb grinder or coffee grinder. So that's just what I'm going to use today. I find that it's a little bit faster for the sake of the video. I'll do it this way, but really there's something magical about just really slowing down and just doing some of these things by hand. Okay? But honestly, the choice is yours. Both ways are perfect. So, what we're going to do is we're going to first take our mugwort. Now, I'm going to have 2 parts mugwort, 2 parts lavender, 1 part blue vervain. Okay, so I'm just going to put these in my grinder. So we'll do one. Okay. Now, it really also depends on how much you're wanting to make. I like to just make these smaller jars. I like to change it up for myself at times. So, by all means, if you want to make yourself like a gallon batch of this, by all means do so. Okay. It is going to be the exact same formulation. Okay. And the same proportions. So, I'm just really going to make enough to put into this jar. So, let us add our 2 parts of that. Perfect. Now, I will word of caution, if you are using something like a grinder, be careful when you take the lid off that you just don't inhale a bunch of the herbs that you just ground up, because sometimes they could just make you sneeze. So we're going to put this one in first. And the order that you put it in does not matter. Okay. So then we're going to do 2 parts of lavender. Ooh. Mm. It smells really good now that I've pressed this lavender up. Okay. And then lastly is I'm making a little bit of a mess, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a little messy sometimes. And then lastly, we're going to put our 1 part of blue vervain in. Perfect. Okay, so we'll just move that out of the way. So then sometimes I just like to give it just kind of a little bit of a stir. Okay, so now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need some 100 proof vodka or 50%, right? And you're going to want to put enough so you're covering your herbs by 2 fingers width. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this in here like that. Now, the reason that you want to use 100 proof or 50% with these particular plants is because they do require a stronger alcohol content to extract all those constituents. So you have everything in here. Now we're just going to, I like to stir it up, make sure everything is just nice and covered. And then you're going to take a piece of uh, wax paper or parchment paper, whatever you have. And then I just like to write what the tincture is on it. Now, the reason we're going to be using this underneath our lid is sometimes the alcohol can actually break down the seals of our jars. And that's not what we want. We don't want any of just, oops, we don't really want any of this stuff just kind of falling into our tincture. Okay, we want to keep it as pure as possible. So we're just going to put the lid on it. You're going to store this in a dark place for 6 weeks. Okay. And then every day, you're just going to go and you're just going to give it a shake. And that's it. Every day or two. If you forget, it will still turn out. Don't worry. But I just find doing that kind of make sure that everything is nicely incorporated and saturated. Now, depending on the type of plants you've used, I don't anticipate this happening with these ones, but sometimes you'll notice that um, the plants have absorbed more of the alcohol and your level is lower than what you wanted it to. Just pour some more in. So then, once your 6 weeks is up, I'll show you what you do next. I have this was my digestive bitters that I made a couple weeks ago, 6 weeks exactly. And we are going to just separate this one. So I'll show you what you do. Now you're gonna want, this is what I like to use. So I have just two of these little fine mesh strainers, and I have some cheesecloth that I put in between them. And I'm just going to strain it out in that way. So I like to just kind of give it a little shake first, get all of those bits off the bottom. Now, the dosage for this one is you are going to take 1 to 2 dropperfuls up to 3 times a day. Okay. Now, if you do feel that maybe one day you don't need it, you're feeling regulated, you're feeling good, that's fine. You don't have to take it every day. All right. But you can if you want. So what we'll do is we'll take our old wax paper off, and then we're just going to begin to strain this out. Now, as you can see, there's not actually a lot of liquid in here because my herbs absorbed quite a bit of it. But we're just going to press this out. Now, there are fancy little contraptions like tincture presses that you can use if you don't want to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, but you can. Whatever you want to do is perfect. This is your medicine. This is your way. Okay. I'm just giving you some loose directions. Feel free to change these however you want. Okay. Now, other things that you could do too is if you could put this and just kind of wring it out with your hands. That's also another option. All right. Basically, after you have everything pressed out of your tincture, you're just going to want to throw it in a bottle. So I like these little amber bottles. I labeled this one already so I didn't forget. Perfect. We will put that away later, and there you go. So that's all you need to do. So like I said, when this is ready, you're going to strain it out. You're going to put it in a amber dropper bottle. You're going to make sure you label what it is. And then, yeah, you're just going to use it up 1 to 2 dropper fulls. So all that is, if you don't know, just fill your dropper up and just take that much, okay? Up to 3 times a day. And there you go. That is how you can make your own nervous system support tincture. So why don't you go ahead and just hit that like button if you liked the video, of course, or maybe share it with anybody who you feel might enjoy or benefit learning how to make their own tinctures to support their nervous system. Also consider subscribing to the channel so that we get to spend more time together in the future. You can connect with me also on Facebook and Instagram. But I really just want to thank you for spending this time with me today, and may you find peace wherever you are.